So we
Oh, shit. It's been a long time.
It has been a while since that's happened. So we've got a couple of exciting things to talk about. Not just the fact that this is one of my favorite movies, especially for the Halloween season.
Yes.
But this is our 100th movie episode.
God bless it, man. It feels like it's been forever.
Yeah?
We're not syndicated yet?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, no. I know we've actually done over 100 episodes, but this is our 100th movie episode that we've actually talked about. So
God,
not
darn.
trivia and bonus episodes not included in that. I can't believe it. It seems like it's taken forever, but at the same time,
I feel like we've been doing this for like 5 years.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure our listeners probably feel the same way.
I think what are we, in year 3 right now?
We started 2022.
Yeah, I think in early 2022, like April.
I think it was April.
Yeah. So, like 3.5 years.
Yeah, a lot has changed. We really found our voice in the 46th episode.
Somewhere around there.
But I don't think that's true. And what's weird is we've talked about that. We've joked about that, the 46th episode thing. And we haven't even done that movie yet.
I know.
But coincidentally, it is a Ghostbusters movie.
Yep.
We tried to do this one yesterday.
We did.
And
things were not in our favor.
No. The fact that you're on call doesn't help. And I feel like I was just kind of struggling through it. And I don't like that. I want to really put my face forward, best face forward, even though you can't see my face. I don't know.
I'm putting my best radio voice forward here.
That's right. I really have a face for radio or podcasts, whatever. So I want to do this episode right. I want to do Ghostbusters justice because it's such a great movie.
It is. It's an iconic movie.
What would you say is your favorite scene? I feel like we haven't really done that in a while.
No, we haven't. In the previous recording that we did, and I'm sticking to my guns on this. Pretty much any scene with Louis Tully, who's played by Rick Moranis. He did a phenomenal job throughout this movie. I know I've told you before, and we touched on it in an earlier recording, but that was not written for Rick Moranis. That was written for John Candy. And John Candy said that he was like, the only way that I'll play this part is if I can grow. It was either an obnoxiously long mustache or an obnoxiously long beard for the movie. He wanted to speak with a heavy German accent and have 2 Doberman pinchers with him the entire time. And they were like, no,
absolutely not.
No, like you can't do that. And he was like, okay, well then I pass on it. So they offered it to Rick Moranis because they were all part of, I think it's called Second City.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all part of that. And they were like, well, we'll offer it to Rick. So they went to Rick Moranis with it. And they were like, just so you know, we don't want you to hear it through the grapevine somewhere else. We offered this part to John, and John passed, and Rick Moranis read the script, and he was like, I have no idea why he would pass. This is hysterical.
And it kind of makes me wonder, like, would it have made a difference if he heard it through the grapevine versus them just being upfront with him? I mean, I'm glad that they were upfront and honest, but I feel like he probably wouldn't have cared too much.
No, I don't think he would have cared at all. But I really... Now, like after hearing that, I'm like, I wonder how it would have been with John Candy. I mean, it makes you think.
I mean, and you can't just undo seeing the movie so you wouldn't have any preconceived notions of what that character was supposed to be or what it ended up being. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't really picture it though.
No, I mean, I can't either, but
because if it was that, I feel like his interactions with Dana would have been completely different.
Oh, it would have been way different. But I do love the ongoing running joke throughout the entire movie that every single time Louis walks out of his apartment,
he gets locked out.
He gets locked out of his apartment. And I think the funniest scene when it happens is when he's having the party. that he tells Dana about at the beginning. He's like, yeah, just come by Thursday at about 9:00. I'm having a party. I'm having some clients over and everything. It's going to be a real blast. But then when he gets locked out of the apartment during the party, he's like banging on the door and he was like, hey, let me in. He's like, it's Lewis. Let me in.
Now, what I find strange about that whole thing is every apartment that I've ever lived in, the door does not lock from the outside. Like, you have to use your key.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it doesn't lock from the inside if you're outside the apartment. Like, 'cause it's always the deadbolt. So how would you ever get locked out?
Yeah, I don't know, because I never really paid attention to the movie. Like, I don't know if they have deadbolts, because I do know of apartment complexes that have used like self-locking doorknobs.
Mm-hmm.
But on the inside, you can always unlock the door.
Right. If you're turning the knob from the inside, even if it's in the locked position,
Yeah,
it'll still allow you to open the door, which I know I don't like that. I think that's stupid.
It is. It's very stupid, but still, I mean, it made such good comedy for the movie.
And hats off to Sigourney Weaver, how she was able to convincingly portray that neighbor that is obviously annoyed at Lewis in this case, but was still polite about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll really making an effort to drop by, which obviously did not happen.
Well, even that, but then, what was he talking about when their first interaction?
Well, he's talking
when he
about
comes
how
out, he was like,
"Oh, from the pharmacy."
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I thought you might have been the pharmacy dropping off my prescription." She was like, "Oh, are you sick?" And he was like, "Oh, no, I feel great. I just ordered some vitamins and some supplements." But then he was like, "Yeah, if you ever want to stop by for like a low sodium mineral water, I keep plenty on hand." And she was like, "I know, Lewis. Yeah, I know. You talk about it every single time that we talk."
And the one thing that I really appreciated about this movie, it's first of all, it's supposed to be a comedy, and it is very, very funny. As a kid, it scared the shit out of me, but as an adult, I really appreciate the humor in this. But what they were really able to accomplish with this is, with the music that they used, they did a really great job at setting the tone. So not just music that was done by recording artists, which a lot of them, besides the main theme song, you probably wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup.
Right.
But they were still able to find really good music that tied into the feel of the movie.
Yeah.
And specifically the scene where they have to shut down, or they're forced to shut down the containment unit.
Yeah. And all the ghosts
the ghosts come out. Yeah, there's this song called Magic by an artist that I had never heard of before. And if you try to find the song, just an FYI, if you play it from the very beginning, you're like, this isn't the right song. This sounds nothing like that scene in the movie.
Just give it time, people.
You gotta be patient.
It is the right song.
It's about 2.5 minutes in where that scene, where that part of the song comes into play. But it does a really good job of just setting the mood. So I'll give them credit. They found a really good balance, not just with the music, but finding that balance between being creepy, a little bit scary, and having the comedy to offset it. So, kudos to them.
Yeah.
And I know Harold Ramis, he wrote and produced it, I think, right? And so did Dan Aykroyd. He helped write the movie.
I think him and Dan Aykroyd wrote the movie together. And I know Ivan Reitman directed it. And I believe Harold produced it as well.
I think so. Another fun fact about the movie is most of Bill Murray's lines, which I think you can probably tell watching the movie now, were ad-libbed. And the fact that everybody was able to just kind of play off of that as if it was supposed to be part of the movie was really well done.
Yeah. There were some lines that, to me, throughout the entire movie, like at the very beginning when they're at the library, one of my favorite lines, and I think it goes unlooked, because I think you even said you didn't notice it, but when they're down in the basement of the library and all of a sudden Ray, who's played by Dan Aykroyd, he just sits there and he's like, listen, you smell that? I think it's an overlooked line. Like, I don't think anybody's ever noticed it before.
And I never did until you said something about it. But that is really great. And something that we were talking about yesterday, with Ghostbusters Answer the Call. I feel like there was a part that was a nod to that moment, and I could be wrong. Maybe it was just a coincidence that Chris Hemsworth character, he's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be like the dumb, handsome guy. And there's a moment where they realize that, like, Melissa McCarthy's character realizes that he doesn't have any lenses in his glasses. And, his whole reason was, they kept getting dirty. So I just, popped the lenses out.
Yeah. And she was like, I'm going to have to keep that in mind.
But then there was another moment where there was like a loud noise and he's like covering his eyes instead of his ears.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that was a nod to the original Ghostbusters movie, because there's the other scene that you pointed out yesterday, where Kristen Wiig, she's at that restaurant. And she's trying to get in.
Because at the end of the first Ghostbusters, when the dog comes to life and is at Lewis's party and chases Lewis, he goes to this restaurant that's just all windows, and he's trying to open up like all the windows, like yelling and screaming, like banging on the windows, like, let me in, somebody let me in, like, please. And you never see what's happening to him, but it shows the outside, and he turns around and he sees it and he's like, hey, Pooch. He's like, I think I got a milk bone here or something. And then the dog comes at him and it shows him from the inside and his arms are out and he's like, ah, and he's just like scooting down. But in the all girl Ghostbusters, Kristen Wiig is going to get the mayor, and she just comes running up and she was like, Mr. Mayor, and she's banging on the window and she's trying to open them, and the mayor's assistant's like, oh, she thinks it's a door. And then she goes to another one, she's like, oh, she thinks they're all doors. That's sad.
She's a scientist. Which she's played by another SNL cast member.
Yeah.
Which they tended to do with these movies. But great scene with Lewis. And then after he gets possessed by the demon, we just like calling them dogs because it's funny. I like when he goes up to the horse, like the horse-drawn carriage, but he's talking to the horse itself.
He's like, I'm Louis Clortho, Keymaster.
Vince Clortho.
Yeah, Vince Clortho. He's like, Vince Clortho.
Like, are you
the Keymaster?
Are you the gatekeeper?
Are you the gatekeeper? And he was like, hey, he's the horse. He pulls the buggy. If you want to talk business, you talk to me. And then he like turns and his eyes turn red. And the guy's like, whoa. But I love that he says something to the horse. I can't remember. It was like, wait for the sign. It'll be big. And then he runs off. And then the guy on the horse carriage is like,
what an asshole.
What an asshole.
That is so good. I like the way that they did the scene where the policemen capture him, and they're going to bring him into the Ghostbusters station headquarters.
I like when they knock on the door and Janine answers, who's played by Annie Potts. And she answers the door and she was like, picking up or dropping off? He's like, well, we're dropping off. And she's like, okay. So that's when Egon comes out. And he was like, yeah, we picked him up. And, you just see him and he was like, I'm Vince Clortho, Keymaster. Are you the gatekeeper? And he holds up that PKE meter and it just goes off the charts. And he was like, you better bring him inside.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, is it that common? It's gotten to that point where the police are just constantly bringing people to them because they're acting weird. I mean, it's New York City, for Pete's sake. Everybody acts weird, at least from what I've seen in movies. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never been there. So
never been. I don't know. I'm kind of afraid, honestly.
I do like that. When Dana, the whole scene, I know we talked about it before, but the scene where she gets home the first time and she's putting away groceries, and I want to know how they did it, but she sets down eggs on the counter. The egg carton opens, and then eggs just start popping off the counter and start cooking on the counter. And I want to know exactly how they achieve that, because she has other stuff on the counter that's right next to it. And none of that is like being affected at all.
Right.
So it's very, like, to me, it's very intriguing. I'm like, how did they film this?
Yeah. And I was mentioning how, like, with the proton packs, the beams that are shooting out of it, the way that the ghosts are shot. I mean, it's pretty campy. It's funny though. And that's what they had available at the time. Like, obviously, they're able to do a lot.
It was 84. Better. I mean, come on.
But stuff like that, where they didn't have the option to use technology. They couldn't use the computer-generated images to create this scene. So it was all done through other means.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't know how they could have done that. My initial thought was they had some kind of like compressed air like underneath the counter that shot the eggs up out of the carton and onto it. But it looks like the eggs are actually cooking. So they would have had to have some kind of a heating element underneath it as well.
Yeah. And you can't set other things on that without that being affected like the eggs were.
Which I have a trivia question, just one, that I will reveal the answer to at the end of the episode. So you'll have to stick around to the end for the answer to that. And the question is, during this scene, what other product was sitting on the counter next to the eggs? So
good question.
Stick around, and
almost ungettable.
I will let you know.
Because even I told you when you read it to me, I was like, oh, hell if I know.
Yeah.
I've seen the movie a million times.
Never paid attention.
Yeah.
Like, you're so focused on the eggs.
Yeah.
You don't even realize there's anything else there.
I do like when Dana, like after that happens, Dana goes and sees the Ghostbusters. And she's talking to him, and they have all those things hooked up to her. And at the end, he was like, well, Egon, what do you think? And he was like, well, she's telling the truth. Or at least she thinks she is. It's such a weird line. It's either you're telling the truth or you're not.
Well, no, I know what he was implying.
Oh, I know what he was implying too, but the way he delivered the line is very weird.
Yeah.
It's like, well, she's telling the truth. At least she thinks she's telling the truth. And she was like, well, of course I'm telling the truth. Like, who would make up a story like this? And then they're like, I don't know, crackpots, weirdos. And then she was like, trying to talk to him about these few different things, but I love that you have Peter that's sitting there as well. And she says, I don't even believe in any of this stuff. And he was like, you know what? You're right. I don't either. And then turns and looks at Egon and Ray like, how dare you people believe in this kind of crap? Because he just wants to like be in a relationship with her.
Yeah. Janine had some pretty great lines, and especially the interactions that she had with Egon. But there's one in particular that she had with Peter that stands out for me. And so he's coming in to the fire station, and I'm trying to remember what he was coming in from, because this is shortly after they've kind of got settled in.
I think it was the scene right after when they're outside and they're hanging up the sign.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, that's not too obvious, right? Like, people are gonna see it.
Oh, because it was just it looks like a banner at the time.
Yeah.
They didn't have the official Ghostbusters.
But then the car comes pulling up, and he was like, hey, you can't park that here. And then Ray gets out, and he was like, well, I got us a car. And he was like, oh. And he was like, yeah, I need some brake work, suspension, wiring, rear end shot. The steering column's gone. And he starts naming all this stuff, and he was like, well, how much? And he was like, oh, only $4,800.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think? You got ripped off, man.
Right.
Like, you're going to have to do all this work on this car. But that's when he comes in, and he comes into Janine, and he was like, hey, Janine, any calls? And she's just
no.
Like, no. He's like, any messages?
No.
Any clients?
No.
It's a good job, isn't it? Yeah, just type something, all right? We're paying for all this stuff. He's like, and Janine, don't look at me. You got those weird bug eyes thing. And he goes back to his office. Janine, sorry about the whole bug eyes comment.
I'm going to be in my office.
I'll be in my office if you need anything.
But then Egon pops out from underneath the desk, and she's like, oh, you're really handy. I can tell.
And then she was like, I bet you read a lot too. And he was like, print is dead.
I'm like, well, don't you have any like hobbies or anything like that?
Yeah, I collect molds, spores, and funguses.
And she had some other good moments too, later on. But the fact that she kept like flirting with him, and he's just not picking up what she's putting down. was like one of the ongoing themes. You know, you have the stuff with Lewis, him getting locked out, and then you got Janine where she's constantly hitting on Egon, and he's just oblivious.
Yeah, he has no idea what's going on. Even later on in the movie when they bring Lewis after he's been possessed by Vince Clortho, and they bring him there, and she was like, "You're so kind to take care of that man."
I don't think you're such a humanitarian.
Yeah, and he's like, "I don't think he's human." But then they're doing everything, and then she was like, "Egon, I got a very bad feeling about this, and I'm pretty in tune with this kind of stuff. I have a feeling that you're gonna die." So then she like hugs him, and he's just like,
like. But I like what she says is like, "There's something strange about that man." But I like when she offers him the coffee.
Yeah, she was like, would you like a cup of coffee? And he was like, and Lewis looks at Egon, and he was like, "Do I?" And he was like, "Yes, have some." And he's like, "Yes, have some."
But the whole time that Lewis is possessed, like Rick Moranis did such a great job with this because he's just acting off, but he committed to it.
He did.
And especially the scene where Walter Peck comes back with the
EPA
with the warrant, and the entire time Lewis is just like he's clinging on to Egon, and he's like sniffing him like the entire time.
Well, not that, but then Walter's even like pointing around the room. He was like, "We got to shut this off now," but Lewis is like pointing back at him. So he's like mimicking everything that Walter's doing.
That's awesome. And it's so weird how different Lewis is possessed compared to when Dana gets possessed.
Right.
Because she's got an entirely different agenda.
Yep.
You know, Pete and her, they agree to a date. Dana reluctantly.
Yes, very reluctantly.
She's kind of pushing back on Pete's advances. You know, he's the one that initially wanted to go to her apartment to check things out,
which is a funny scene.
Oh yeah, because he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to Dana's apartment and check her out," and then he like realizes that he like screwed up.
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, idiot."
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go back and check out Miss Barrett's apartment. And so when they go back and she opens up the door and goes to walk in, he just barges right by her and he was like, "No, let me go first. If anything's going to happen, I want it to happen to me first." So then he walks in and he has that weird machine that just kind of looks like, to me, it kind of looks like what exterminators use. Mm-hmm. So he just comes in and he was like, opens up a door and she's like, "Well, that's the closet." And he puts the wand in there and shuts the door, and he goes over to the piano and lifts it up, and he's just hitting the two keys like really fast. And then he's like, "They hate it." He's like, "They hate this.
I like torturing
them. I like to torture them." It's like, "That's right. It's Dr. Venkman." But then he's walking around and he's like, "Oh, it's a lot of space. Just you?" She's like, "Yeah, that's just me." And he's like, "Good." And then he turns around and starts to go back. And she was like, "That's the bedroom." And he opens it up and she was like, "But nothing's ever happened in there." And he comes out and he's like, "Crime. What a crime."
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like right now, this is like an HR nightmare.
Yeah.
The way he's acting around her. And then she was like, "Look, you've come all this way. Don't you want to see the fridge?" He's like, "Yeah."
I like her response, though, after he makes that, "What a crime." Because it's like she comes to the realization, okay, I see what he's doing here.
Yeah.
And she says something along the lines of, like, you
don't seem like a scientist.
Very strange. Yeah. You seem more like a game show host.
What's funny is they go into the kitchen and he looks at the counter and sees the eggs, and he picks one up and throws it down. He's like, "Dana, are these the eggs?"
Thank you, like, "Yes, Captain Obvious.
Those are the eggs."
Obviously.
He's like, "Huh." But then she was saying something. She was like, "Yeah, the fridge, it like there was this beast in there and it said the name Zool." And he was like, "That's weird. You normally don't get that out of a major appliance."
Probably another ad-libbed line.
Yeah. And then she was like, you've come all this way. Don't you want to check out the fridge? And he was like, yeah, I better check out the fridge. Good call. So then he goes to open it and he's just like, oh my God. It's like, look at all the junk food. So
do you really eat all this crap?
Yeah. And she's like, no. She's like, God damn it. This wasn't here. She's like, look, she was like, there was nothing here. There was a building way back in the background and there was a voice. It said Zool. And he was like, look, I'm sorry, but I'm just not getting anything on this. And then she was like, are you sure you're even using it right? And he's like, well, I think so. But then when they start talking, she was like, great. She's like, now I probably just seem like I'm crazy. And he's like, I don't think you're crazy. She's like, oh, that makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, it makes me feel a lot better. So then he goes off on his tangent. He's like, look, all I have all day is my work. And then I come home and I have nothing. I have nothing there. You and I are a lot alike. He was like, but then I meet you and I think to myself, wow, here's a girl who's going through the same thing I'm going through. And she's like, right. We're both going through the same thing. Like, please get out of my apartment. Mm-hmm. Please leave. And he was like, look, I'm going to go for broke. I am madly in love with you.
Oh, here it goes.
And then she's like, please leave. And he was like, huh. And then she threw me out of her life. And then as he starts going to the door, he stops and turns around and she's like, oh, no. And he's like, I got it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to prove myself to you. I'm going to solve your little mystery. And she said, right, okay, you're going to solve it. Fine.
I like how as he's walking to the door, he's kind of like narrating what's going on. She thought he was a nerd. She called him a geek. And she was probably right. But it's like, where are you going with this, man?
But then as she's like pushing him out, he pushes back in real quick. He's like, what? No kiss? I mean, thank God they didn't have an HR department.
Like
this was like lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit.
Like, you are going to remember me after I leave here.
I bet I am.
Not in the way that you want. Now, I do like the opening scene where...
Oh, in the library?
Where Venkman is... well, no, I guess that's not the opening scene. This happens afterwards, where Venkman is... He's got the two test subjects.
And he's electrocuting them?
For ESP, yeah. And so he's got the young guy and the girl. They're all strapped up to this electric device, and he's flipping cards over so they can't see it, but he's having them, quote unquote, guess using their ESP abilities, like what's on the back of the card. And for every card that the guy guesses, it's always wrong. Even if it's right, it's wrong.
Yeah.
So it's his excuse to shock him just to piss the guy off, which I don't really know what the benefit is to that. But everything that the girl said, just because he wanted to hit on her, was right. And it never was actually right. But the fact that he never flipped the card over when she guessed, after claiming that it was right, like the guy never questioned it.
No.
I like the fact that when he gets shocked, and I know he wasn't really getting shocked, it was just part of the script, that at one point his gum pops out of his mouth. I guarantee that was not part of the script, but they just kept it in.
Well, I do like it because he picks it up and puts it back in his mouth.
Well, wouldn't you? I don't know where the counter's been.
But then, he's guessing shapes, and the first one he's like, it's a square, and he turns around, it's a circle, and he's like, sorry. He shocks him. And then the next one he's like, it's a star, and it's a circle, and he's like, shocks him. And then the third time he's like, I don't know, it's a couple wavy lines, and it was a couple wavy lines, and he was like, God, this is just not your day. He's like, I know.
But I like the fact that he gets really pissed off about the whole situation. It's like, I don't like this,
He's like, you volunteered for it. We're paying you, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know I was going to be getting shocked.
He's like, what is this supposed to prove anyway? He's like, oh, yeah, no. He's like, it's the negative effects on people with ESP. And he's like, I tell you, the effects, he was like, it's pissing me off. Those are the effects. You can keep your $5. But I do like his little line because he was like, nervous? He's like, and he was like, well, only 75 more to go.
And I like how afterwards he's like, all right, well, I'm going to take this opportunity to hit on the girl. It's like, but then Ray has to barge in and interrupt.
I'm in the middle of something, Ray.
Because Ray just finds out about the ghost in the library. He's like, Peter, we need you on this one. Like, we got to get you over there. Egon's already there at the library. And this is one thing that I mentioned yesterday. I was like, what the hell was he even doing? He's got like the doctor's scope.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's like listening for something like underneath one of the desks, one of these tables in the library.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which I'm wondering if Bill, he probably improvised this scene too, because he's like, when Spangler's got his back turned, like he doesn't know that they've shown up yet, and he like knocks on the desk and he like perks his head up, like, what's that? Like,
there's something.
There has to be.
Yeah.
But then he picks up that heavy ass book and like drops it. Like, you're in a library, for Pete's sake, man. What's wrong with you? But nobody in the library shushed him.
Nope.
Only the ghost.
I do like when they go to the little old lady and he was like, I'm going to ask you some routine questions. He's like, are you or any member of your family ever been diagnosed as schizophrenic? And she's like, well, my uncle thought he was Saint Jerome. He's like, I'm going to call that a big fat yes.
Yeah.
And then he was like, are you, Alice, right now menstruating? And then the I guess the head of the library, he's like, what's that got to do with anything? He's like, hey, back off, pal. I'm a scientist.
But I like when they get down into the lower area. I mean, you were calling it a basement. I don't really know what it is. I mean, there's rows of books.
Yeah, this is like an archive or something almost.
It looks like just a like closed off section of the library or whatever, but this is where the ghost has interacted with stuff. There's like the slime all over everything. And every time that there's some form of residue, Egon wants a sample.
Yep. He can't take the sample himself.
No.
It's always Ray. Or not Ray, but Peter that's got to get it.
Yeah. He's always got the container for it.
Yep.
But he's above getting the sample himself.
Exactly.
He's too busy collecting molds, spores, and fungus.
I do like when Egon and Ray and Peter see the ghost and they're like, one of us has to talk to it. So they look at Peter and Peter's like, fine. So he walks out and he's like, hi, how are you? Where are you from? Originally. And then he goes back and he's like, okay, guys. He's like, the normal material's not working.
Listen, you smell that?
But I know I said something to you about it yesterday, but in that scene when they're like, Ray sits there and says, I have it. I know what to do. And his thing is like, okay, just attack her, tackle her, get her down to the ground. We'll subdue her. But it turns into a monster and they all scream and turn around and run out. Watch Egon. The way he backs out, because he's already got like the big hair that's up and his eyes look real big. But he has his hands down by his side like he's shimmying, but he's kicking his legs up real high as he's backing up. It's probably one of the funniest exits I've ever seen.
And since you brought that up, I have not watched it again. I'm going to have to use that as my excuse to watch the movie again.
Yeah, it's so funny. I do like another funny scene, and I didn't even notice it until a few days ago when we watched it, when you came over and we watched it, was the scene when they go to the hotel. Because the hotel call, like there's this hotel that calls, and when Janine answers the phone, she's like, Ghostbusters. And she's like, yes, of course they're serious. She's like, you've got a what? You do? You have? Oh, yeah, no, I'll send them right over. Yeah, no, they'll be totally discreet. So she puts down the phone and she's like, we got one, and like hits the buzz and the bell's going off, and you just see Ray and he's like, we got a call. So they all go down. When they go down the fire pole, the way Ray gets off, when he lets go of the pole, I don't know what he does. It's weird. It's almost like he's in a state of shock. But he's got his head back and his back's arched and his arms are way out like, what do we do? Huh? And then just runs over to the lockers.
That almost like he was dizzy.
Yeah.
But like
it's weird.
when Ray gets off of it, when Ray gets off of it, he's like, he's stoked. Like, he's so excited about the whole thing. Just like when they first got the firehouse.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Before
funny.
Before they even committed to it, he's upstairs checking everything out.
Yeah, because Ray asked, or not Ray, but Pete asked Egon. He was like, Egon, I don't know. What do you think? And he was like, I think this building should be condemned. He's like, there's serious metal fatigue on all the load-bearing columns. The wiring is substandard for the storage facility that we need. And the neighborhood looks like it's part of a demilitarized zone. And then that's when you hear Ray, and he's like, hey, does this pole still work?
What does that even mean?
It's a pole.
It exists as a pole. That's it.
Is it standing? And it probably still works. But when he goes down, he just lands right next to him. He's like, wow, you got to try this pole. He's like, wow, I'm going to go get my stuff.
We should stay here tonight.
Sleep here.
Like, try it out.
So then he goes running off, and they're like, well, I guess we'll take it.
But I just like the shit-eating grin that the real estate agent has on her face. It's like,
yeah.
She's just like, so you guys want it? Yeah. Or it really sounds like you want it. I don't know. But it sucks that like Ray had to sell his parents' house that he grew up in or whatever just to like make the down payment. And I like how Egon is like.
Well, I like Pete's rebuttal to that, because he was like, I can't believe I refinanced my parents' house. I was born there. They left it to me. And he was like, oh, don't worry. He's like, everybody has 3 mortgages nowadays. He's like, yeah, but at 19%, you didn't even haggle with the guy.
And then Egon has that line about, he's like, no, I calculated it. He's like, the first 5 years of first 5 years of interest comes to like $95,000. Nobody knows how they're actually affording this place.
No,
but Ray's excited about the poll, so I mean, we're good. We're good.
Sold.
Yeah. So,
but I do like when they go to the hotel and they walk in, and the very last thing that Janine says, she was like, "Yes, of course they'll be discreet." And then Pete walks in. He's like, hey, someone see a ghost? Just shouts it across the lobby. But that guy comes up. I guess the hotel manager comes up from behind him. He was like, are you the Ghostbusters? But Pete turns around. He's like, Jesus. It's like it scared the shit out of him.
I used to pull that move all the time. I don't know why I stopped doing it. Maybe it's because I don't know anybody up here. And they'd probably look at me funny. But like people that I would work with, they would come up with me, and I would always act like I was scared, like, God. But, this is the whole scene with Slimer.
Yeah.
And one of the iconic moments, obviously, when Pete gets slimed, like, I've been slimed.
Yeah. I like how he's laying on the floor, and when Ray comes up, and he's like, oh, I feel funky.
Right. But I like the moment before he gets slimed, because he calls Ray on the walkie, and Ray's and Pete's saying like, yeah, I see him. He's looking right at me. And
he's like, oh,
Ray's
he's
an
ugly little spud, isn't he? It's like, he can hear you, Ray.
Like, oh my God, what are you gonna hurt his feelings now?
Yeah. And then it just charges right at him. He's like, ah, and so Ray finally finds him. He's just laying on the ground, rolling around.
This looks like a turtle that got flipped upside down.
But then he sits there and says, he slimed me. And he's like, that's great. He's like, actual physical contact. So then Egon calls and says, Ray, I spotted the ghost. It went into a ballroom. Get down here. And he's like, yeah. He's like, Egon, Peter got slimed. He's like, great. Save some for me.
You gotta get those samples. I don't know where they came up with the technical terms for these ghosts, but it all sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
It does.
Every one of them is like a full torso manifestation, like apparition, or whatever. And it's like, are you making this shit up, or are they actually using terms that exist for like other reasons, and they just repurposed them for the movie?
I have no idea. It's like they just got a bunch of medical jargon and threw it all together.
I mean, it sounded convincing. It's all about the confidence.
You better believe it. Hey, remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Oh, okay. Like Dana believed that her house was haunted.
Yep. Thank you, George Costanza, for such words of wisdom.
One of the greats. So, one of the other most iconic moments in the movie is when Dana becomes possessed. And Pete goes over for their little date. She answers the door wearing her red getup, looking very, very nice. If I do say so myself.
So hot.
And I gotta give Pete credit because he did not take advantage of the situation, and he very easily could have.
Yep.
You know,
easily.
He could have lied and said he was the keymaster, which he kind of does, but then he immediately says, well, no, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah. He told me to meet him here.
Over. Yeah.
He told me to meet him here.
Yeah, because first thing was, are you the keymaster? And he says, no. Slams the door in his face.
Yep. So he knocks again.
Because he is the master of improv.
You better believe it. So when she answers again, she's like, are you the keymaster? He's like, yes, I am. So she lets him in, and he's like, well, he's a friend of mine. He just told me to meet him here.
Which she doesn't even acknowledge.
Nope. And then I do love at the very end, I think one of the lines, I think it's kind of, I don't think it's overlooked, but I don't think too many people pay attention to it. But when she's saying, when Zool's saying, you know, think of the form that you want Gozer, the Gozerian, the Destructor, to come back as, and then Pete's like, oh, I got it. I get it. He was like, so if you think of Benjamin Franklin is going to come back and destroy the city.
I think it was J. Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover. And he was like, so empty your minds. He was like, everyone, empty your minds. And I think it's an overlooked line because it's really quick. Because immediately it's like, the form has been chosen. He's like, whoa. He's like, nobody thought of anything. And he looks at Egon. He was like, Egon, did you think of anything? And he was like, no, I didn't think. He was like, and then he looks at Winston. He's like, did you think of anything? He's like,
mind is totally blank.
Mine's totally blank. Such a great line.
I liked it. Yeah.
And he's like, I know I didn't think of anything. So then he turns around, looks at Ray, and Ray's just backing away.
I couldn't help it.
I couldn't help it.
It just popped in there. Like, Ray, what just popped in there?
It's like, it was just so innocent from my childhood. It just reminded me of being at camp. And then you find out it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
And how can you even be afraid of it? But like, I think Egon said it. He's like, I am like terrified out of my mind right now. But it's like, it's the least scary looking thing ever. Granted, he's like 10 stories tall, but he's not scary looking at all. Trying to think of some other.
Well, I do like after they save the day and they blow up the Stay Puft Marshmallow, and you know they get Zool back to his dimension and everything. I do like that. You know, they think Dana's gone, but Ray's like, man, it smells like burnt dog. He's like, oh, sorry, Peter. I don't know why I said that. And then he just turns around and goes walking away, but it starts breaking off, and you see her hand come out, and then you know they're breaking everything away, and they're getting her, and then you hear Lewis, and he's like, "Hey, somebody turn on the lights!" And then Pete's like, "Hey, go help that little guy.
Go help that little guy." I like when they get arrested and they're trying to figure things out, even though they're in jail. And like all of the people that are in that holding cell are like circling around the table because they're like trying to be involved. And I don't remember who said it. I think it was Egon that said it. Like, are you guys getting all this?
No, that was Pete.
Was it Pete?
Yeah, because they're sitting there because he's talking about everything that's going on. And then Pete just kind of looks to his left and there are people there, and looks to his right and there's more guys there. And he was like, you getting all this? Everybody joining in? I mean, just to break the tension.
I probably would have been annoyed too, because it's like, you guys mind? Like, we're having a conversation over here.
No, I think that part's great. I do like the scene where the mayor starts talking about all the stuff that's going on in the city. So they bring the Ghostbusters in, and Walter Peck is there from the EPA, and he was like, I am fully committed right now to give you a full report of what these guys have done. And then Ray's like, yeah. He's like, well, our storage facility was working until Dickless here turned off the power grid. And then the mayor's like, is that true? And then Beat's like, it is true. This man has no dick. But then they start talking about it, and he was like, look, just let us go and take care of this. And he was like, well, what if you're wrong? And he was like, if I'm wrong, then we're wrong. He's like, take us to jail. We won't fight. He was like, hell, we'll enjoy it. But then when they start talking about everything. But if I'm right, Lenny, baby, it's like you would have saved the lives
of millions of registered voters. And I like that subtle little smirk that he has right after Pete says that line. It's so good.
I do love when they're talking about it and they're like, well, what's going to happen? He was like, real Old Testament kind of stuff. He was like, 40 days of night, blizzards, volcanoes erupting. And then you see Pete, and he was like, yeah, he's like, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
But I do like the couple of moments where Walter Peck shows up to the firehouse. The first one, he doesn't have a warrant or anything, so he's just there for questioning.
Yes.
To see exactly how much he can find out without going through all the formalities.
And when Janine says there's a man named Walter Peck in your office from the EPA, the look on Venkman's face sells the entire scene, because he has his lips pursed with a cigarette hanging out like he's wants a kiss or something. He's like, the EPA, what does he want? And then goes right back. So it's like, I like to think that he's given Janine blue steel.
That checks out. I can see that. Yeah, and I know
you only see a side profile of it, but still, it looks like the blue steel.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and seeing that scene, I'm sure that thoughts crossed my mind. Not blue steel, but like,
Magnum.
Why is he pursing his lips like that? There's really no reason for him to.
No, not at all.
But Walter goes into Pete's office, and he's asking him, like, so what is it that you guys actually do? He's like, you go around just like chasing ghosts or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's like, and Pete's like, yeah. And well, what do you do with the ghosts after you've captured them?
It's like, we store them in a storage facility.
And is this storage facility on this premises?
Yes.
And can I see it?
No.
Why not?
Because you didn't say the magic word.
And what is the magic word?
Please.
Yeah, please see the storage facility.
Why do you want to see the storage facility?
Because I'm curious about what it is that you actually do here. I just like that whole conversation, because it's like he's trying to be polite, he's trying to be professional, but
you can tell he's a dickhead.
He's a weasel.
Yeah.
He's an absolute weasel.
You son of a bitch.
So that's why the second time he comes around, he's on a rampage.
Yep.
He's like, nope, Venkman, you had your chance. He's like, you had your opportunity to cooperate, and instead you decided to insult me. But yeah, I like how he was telling the police officer, like, no, if he does that again, you can shoot him.
Hey, you do your job, pencil neck. Don't tell me how to do mine.
Oh, man. I mean, such a great movie. And I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
First
in
round.
a very short amount of time.
Yeah. This is one of our shorter episodes.
By
God, it can be done. It just takes fucking up. One time.
Tremendously.
It was bad. It was a bit rough. Not gonna lie. So, unless you have anything else that you wanted to touch on,
I want to know the answer to the trivia question.
I was hoping that you would say that.
Yep.
So, in the scene where Peter is inspecting. Actually, no, I'm sorry. In the scene where the eggs are exploding all over Dana's counter, what is the other item that's sitting on the counter next to it? It is actually a bag of Stay Puft marshmallows. And I can't believe that this entire time this movie's existed, I've never noticed that.
Me either.
And if you go back and watch it now, it's like there, plain as day, face forward.
Yep. Because I knew the lettuce was there.
Yeah.
I remember that distinctly. But yeah, when you told me, you're like, yeah, it's Stay Puft marshmallows. I'm like, what? No way.
There's no way.
And then that's why I was saying, like, you know, as the eggs are cooking, you have marshmallows right there that are not melting.
That bag should have been melted all over the counter.
Yeah. So it's amazing. Amazing how it was done.
1984.
You better believe it.
Who'd have thunk it?
Take me back, baby.
Right. All right. So without further ado, see if I can get this music to play. Awesome. Well, this was another fun one. I can't wait to bring the other 2 Halloween themed episodes.
You better believe it.
And without further ado, until next time,
Quotable Podcast. Out.
Nothing. No final thoughts.
Well, I mean, my only final thought was, I recorded a 20-minute workout and played it back at fast speed. I got a 10-minute workout and it was real solid.